Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, you'll be learning how to make this beautiful dress. If this looks like what you're interested in, please stick around and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Without wasting much of your time, let's get started. Here is what we did in the part 1 of this video. We've already done the drafting of the half length and the skirt part. If you haven't watched the video on how I went about this, I'll be leaving the link in the description. I'll advise you watch that so you really understand the part 2, which is the cutting and the sewing of our dress. Here I have 3 yards of crepe fabric. The second one is a lining. This particular fabric is kind of transparent, so I just needed something that will line it up a bit. So I went ahead to buy just a yard of lining. So this lining is what I'm going to use to line the dress. I've gone ahead to transfer the down parts to fabric. This is the bag, okay, which is also the skirt part. After transferring, go ahead and notch the zipper part. And I told you in my previous video that this paper is what I'm going to use to cut both the front and the back. So the part that I used pencil was for the back. So now that I'm done cutting the back, I'm going to trim it out so I can use it to cut the front. So I'll also trim out this other part that belongs to the bag. You know, the down part, that's the zipper part. So I'll trim that out. After trimming it out, I'll place it on my fabric and cut the front. Here is the front skirt part. I've gone ahead to transfer it to fabric. Remember, you have to place it on fold. Place your fabric on fold before you cut. Here is my front half length. I've transferred it to fabric. I also went ahead to cut lining for it as well. The down part, I added ½ inch seam allowance, and to the shoulder, I added ½ inch seam allowance as well. You know, I've already added seam allowance to the side. And here is the back. I equally did the same thing. The down part, I added ½ inch seam allowance, and to the shoulder, I added ½ inch seam allowance. When you're transferring yours to fabric, ensure you notch where you have your dart. Okay, notch it on the fabric, on the main fabric, and also on the lining. Here, what I'm going to do is to place both the lining and the main fabric together. You can see where I notched on the main fabric and also on my lining. That's my darts. I'm gonna head to notch those two parts. I also notched the side. Okay, that was my side dart. I also went ahead to notch that as well. The next thing is to place your lining and your main fabric together, the fronts facing each other. Okay, so go ahead and sew the neck with ½ inch, the side sew it with ½ inch as well. Leave the shoulder, the armhole, and the down parts open. Here's my back half length. I'm also going to join the zipper part with ½ inch, the neck with ½ inch, and also the side. I'm not going to join the down part. Here is the skirt part. I've cut lining for it as well. The lining is shorter than the main fabric by 1 inch. You can make yours shorter by 1.5 inch or even 2 inches, but I'm using 1 inch. Then what I'm going to do is to bring it to the down part like so. I'll go ahead and sew it with ½ inch. After sewing that part with ½ inch, I'll drag it to the upper part. Okay, I'll drag it to the upper part to align with the upper part. Then I'll go ahead and sew the side. After that, I will just drag it like so, just to meet up with the upper part. Then I'll go ahead and join the side, the both side with ½ inch. I'm using the back skirt part to do this illustration. I'm also going to do the same thing to the front skirt part. Here is my back half length. I've gone ahead to sew it just the way I illustrated. I did the same thing to the front half length and also to the skirt part. I'll go ahead and flip them to the right side. I'll flip all of them to the right side. Then I'll take it to my ironing table to iron everything out. After ironing everything out, I'll bring it back and I will show you how it looks. Here is how it looks after I was done giving it a nice press. Here is the front and the back skirt part. The next thing is to take my dart on the front half length and on the back half length. Here is my front half length. What I will do is to bring my pattern paper and place it on it as shown, just to transfer the bust dart and the waist dart to it. Or if you don't want to follow this pattern, you can just use your tape and measure where you have your dart from the bust point down to the waistline. Measure where you have it, just go ahead and mark it. Or you can also use this method to transfer it just the way I'm doing it. Okay, so go ahead and transfer your bust dart and also your waist dart. After transferring it to this left side, the way I'm just illustrating, go ahead and fold your fabric into two as if you want to notch the midpoint. Transfer everything you are marking on this left hand to the right hand side. I'm also going to do the same thing to the back half length. So here is the pattern paper. I'll place it as shown. You can see on the down part I've already notched the midpoint of my darts. Okay, so now is to transfer the upper part of my dart, where my dart is going to stop, is to transfer it to my fabric. Okay, so go ahead and do the same thing. Transfer everything to your fabric, then go ahead and sew it. So after transferring it to fabric, I'll just go ahead and sew it. Or like I said initially, just go ahead and measure the same way I just measured. Go ahead and measure it, then transfer it to your fabric. Then mark the ½ inch on both sides of where you just notched. Go ahead and connect it into where you are going to end that. When I'm done transferring my darts here, I'll do the same thing to the second part, and after that I'll take it to my sewing machine and take my darts. So here is it after I was done taking the dart on the front half length. I've gone ahead to iron it out as well. I equally did the same thing to the back half length as well. So now the next step is to go ahead and join the down part and the upper part together. Here is the front part of my skirt and front part of the half length. So I'll go ahead and notch the midpoint of my front half length. I will also do the same thing to the down half length. Go ahead and notch both of them so it can help you place both of them accurately. After notching both of them together, place the first one as shown, then bring the second one. You have to place this, the front has to face each other. Okay, so place the notch part of the down part has to be in line with the notch part of the upper part. Go ahead and pin it round. After pinning it round, go ahead and sew it with ½ inch. After pinning it round, go ahead and sew it with ½ inch. Here is the bag. Go ahead and place the half length of the bag and the down part of the bag together as shown. Go ahead and sew it with ½ inch. I'm equally going to do the same thing to the other side. Here is it after I was done joining both of them together. I also went ahead to give it a nice press. So here is the bag. What I will do is to place both of them together, front facing each other like so. When I was drafting, I left 1.5 inch as my zipper allowance. ½ inch was to join the lining and the main fabric together, and 1 inch was for my zipper allowance. So here I've gone ahead to mark out 1 inch all the way down for my zipper allowance. What I'm going to do is to take it to my sewing machine and sew it with a loose stitch. Here is it after I was done sewing it. I went ahead to iron it out as well. So doing it this way is going to help you outline how you are going to fix your zip. The next step is to join the shoulder. So go ahead and open it up as shown. The main fabric needs to face each other and the lining also facing each other as shown. Also ensure the midpoint is aligning. I hope you understand. So go ahead and join both of them together as shown. After joining, sew it with ½ inch. When I'm done securing it with my pin, I will equally do the same thing to the second shoulder. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew it with ½ inch. Applying this method will help the shoulder have a very nice finishing. Here is how it looks after I was done joining it together. You can see how it looks. Next step is to join the front and the back together using my accurate body measurement. So I'll start inputting all my measurements. First, I'll identify all the vertical lines. That's my bust point. And here is my waistline. I'll place my tape there and measure my hip line. After outlining my bust point, my waistline and my hip line, the next step is to place my tape there to take all my horizontal measurements. On the bust point, I'll take quarter of my bust circumference, which is 8.5. On the waistline, I'll take quarter of my waist circumference, which is 6.5. And on the hip line, I'll take quarter of my hip circumference, which is 9 inches. Then I'll connect all of them together. The down part, I will just mark ½ inch. Then I'll connect from the bust point to the waistline and to the hip line all the way to the full length. After that, go ahead and secure both the front and the back with your pin. Go ahead and secure this part, the waistline. Make sure both of them align. Then the bust point, equally do the same thing all the way down. Secure it with your pin. After this, I'm equally going to do the same thing to the other part. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew it following that line. Here is how it looks after I was done joining both sides together. I've joined this part and I've also joined this other side as well. I went ahead to open up my zipper allowance. The next step is to join our sleeve. I've gone ahead to use my basic sleeve pattern to cut my sleeve. If you haven't watched my video on how to draft a long sleeve and a short sleeve, I'll also be leaving the link in the description so you go watch how to go about this. I'll remove the pattern paper, take it to my sewing machine and join all the way down with 1/2 inch. So here is how it looked after I was done joining. I also went ahead to iron it out. You can see how neatly the sleeve is looking. The next step is to go ahead and fix it to our dress. Before you attach your sleeve to your dress, make sure you notch the midpoint and also the front part. You know, we have the front and the back part of our sleeve. So make sure you notch the front so you'll be able to attach the front to the front part of our dress, okay? And also the midpoint, go ahead and place it on the shoulder as shown. Place the midpoint on the shoulder line. Make sure both of them align. Then after joining both of them as shown, go ahead and use your pin to secure it. Make sure you use your pin to secure it round. After securing it round, take it to your sewing machine and join it. I'm done securing it round with my pin. The next step is to take it to my sewing machine and to join it. I'll equally do the same thing to the second sleeve. Then I'll bring it back and show you how it looks. Here is how it looks after I was done fixing my sleeve. The next step is to fix my zipper. I decided to use this black zip. One, because I did not have a matching zipper at home. And two, because I'm actually using like a black design in front. So I just said, okay, let me just use it like that. Okay, so here is the fabric we'll be using for the design in front. This is a crepe fabric. So I bought half yard of these. You can see the width is 17.5 and the length is 44. I'm using a length of 44 inches for this. So you can decide to make it shorter than this. Okay, if you're not okay with the length, you can decide to make it shorter than this. The next step is to fold it into two just to give the down part a kind of slanted effect. I will use my chalk to just curve it in as shown. I'll use my scissors to cut it. After cutting it, I wasn't okay with the design I got, so I had to fold it again into two, and I went ahead to use my ruler to actually outline it the way I want it. Okay, so I placed my ruler slantly as shown. I went ahead to chalk it. After chalking it, I used my scissors to give it this really slanted look. So you can decide to use this method. You can anyhow you want the down part to just go ahead and give it the kind of design you want. So after this, I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'll bend the side, both sides together all the way down. Then after that, I'll bring it back and show you how it looks. So here is it, guys. The next thing, I've gone ahead to open up the part we'll be fixing, we'll be attaching this to. So the next step is to go ahead and give it a pleated look. So I'll pleat it as shown. Then I will use my, when I pleat, I'll use my pin to secure it. Pleat, use my pin, secure it. Go ahead and do the same thing. Pleat it how you want it to look. After pleating it, I'll fix it in on that part that I just opened up. So it has to be just around from the waist to where you have your darts, your bust darts. Okay, so it just have to be around that point, or you can decide to take it down. Okay, just be creative about the whole thing. Anyhow you want it to look, just go ahead and do it. In order to attach this to your dress, flip your dress to the wrong side, then go ahead and fix it in from the inside. just like what I'm illustrating. Go ahead and fix it from the inside. Do well to arrange it, then use your pin to secure it. When I'm done with this, I'll take it to my sewing machine and sew on it. After that, I'll bring it back and show you how it looks. What I'm trying to create is a loop I will be using to hold the design down in front. So I'll go ahead and fold it in just like so and make a design, just a loop. Okay, so what I'll do is to arrange it the way I want it to be, fix it as shown, then top stitch on it. I'll take it to my sewing machine and top stitch on both sides, then I'll bring it back to show you how it looks. I'll pass the design through this loop just for it to have this beautiful look in front. If you have watched till this point and you're yet to subscribe to the channel, hey baby girl, what are you waiting for? Just consider smashing the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment in the comment section. If you have any question, let me know in the comment section. So this is a final look of our dress. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in my next video. Bye.